So just for the audience here, maybe you could just share what some of that income has done on that front for you.
And enabled me to get in at the ground level of a condo project in Mexico. I made all my payments out of money from my MIT account. Didn't have to borrow a dime. And so that condo is now paid off. I take delivery of that in June. In 3 years, be the proud owner of a second investment property out in Portugal. Which 2 years ago, with trading money, I went and started taking flying lessons, got my pilot license. And I'm getting ready to buy a Diamond DA-42 twin engine airplane. Having a way to invest and grow that money rapidly and not take on undue risk, that's a gold mine.
We also really love, Kent sent us a Christmas present, and it's the kind of present where outside you hear a beep, 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 because it's a truck backing up, and they needed the lift gate to take it down. And anyway, do you want to tell them what that was, Kent?
All right, welcome. We've got a really fun setup today. We've got Kent here, who's been a longtime Traders Edge Network client and friend. And we want to talk a little bit with Kent. Preston, I know you've got some questions, but we want to talk about some of your journey, what where you started with trading, what got you here, and especially our master income trader strategy that we're going to be doing we call it MIT for short, 2026 here just right around the corner. So Preston, I'll hand it over to you. And you can start hitting Kent with a few questions.
Yeah, man, Ken, it's great to see you. We've been seeing you out at our events. And one thing I wanted to ask you is what your normal profession was or still is. I mean, what have you done for your work? Your
IT. I went to work for a small computer company, got married. My wife got pregnant about 3 months after we got married. And I was working for an IBM product center, basically. Not making a whole lot of money. And I said, I got 9 months to get a business off the ground. And so I started my own company in 1988. And
Mike's smiling because he's got a similar beginning.
Yeah.
Those kids come fast.
We have a very similar background.
Their motivation for sure.
Absolutely. I started a little IT company and started doing networking and accounting software and things like that, and grew the business quite well. And realized a few years ago that I didn't want to do that forever. It's very labor intensive. I hired a few employees at one time, but I found I spent more time cleaning up after them than it was worth to pay them. So I just decided I'm going to get as big as I can get as a one-man person. I had a real nice shot in the arm from COVID. I know COVID was hard on a lot of businesses, but enabled me to do something that I'd been wanting to do anyway. I was approaching 60 years old when COVID hit. And I said, I need to get in a situation where I'm not having to be at people's locations all the time. So it enabled me to migrate most of my customers to hosted server environment. I've got 2 big racks in Atlanta, and virtually all of my customers are now in a hosted environment. So my wife likes to joke that I now have a business that I can run from my laptop from any beach in the world.
Oh, and, nice. And you're born and raised North Carolina?
No, actually, I was born in Texas.
Okay.
And then I've lived in Florida my whole life. My parents bought a vacation home in North Carolina, and they're both deceased. And they wanted to sell their house, and my sisters and I talked them into keeping it so that we could use that as a vacation resort. And my sisters don't go up there very much. I go twice a month. I love it up there. It's just a great place to disconnect. I've got a nice big trade station with 6 monitors, so I'm in heaven when I'm up there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because you're hitting me from different locations. I'm like, where's Kent now? Where is he?
Yeah, I'm usually bouncing back and forth between Florida, near Orlando, and in Western North Carolina, up in the mountains.
And then trading and investing, were you doing some of that? Were you kind of involved at a distance, like with the 401k thing, or where were you? And how did you find us, and how did we cross paths?
Well, I did a little bit of trading in my early 30s. One of my customers that I was working with was a big alarm company, and they got bought out by Wayne Huizinga's group. He had Blockbuster Video, Waste Management Corporation, and he was trying to get into the security business. This was a home security company. They were pioneers in the field of two-way voice, where when you set off your burglar alarm, it enabled a two-way voice communicator between the monitoring station and the home. And they pioneered all that, and they hired me to build their monitoring station. And when they did that, one of the things they ended up doing was selling out to Wayne Huizinga's company. He bought their company primarily with stock and in Republic Industries, which was kind of his umbrella company. And I got a big chunk of his stock plus a stock option, which I exercised, and then the stock immediately tanked. And I spent the next 20 years deducting that loss at $3,000 a pop for the next 20 years. And and I swore I'd never touch the market again. I was so burned by it. Then about 10 years ago, a buddy of mine started talking to me about options. And he used one of the same lines I've heard you guys use at the live events. He says, you've always heard there's two certainties in life, death and taxes. He goes, there's a third one, time decay of options. And that clicked with me right away because I knew I'd done enough about looking at different people's trading models. And I'd read a lot about trading, even though I hadn't gotten my foot back in the water. And I realized that everyone thought they had an edge to predict what the next tick was going to be. And it's all bull. Nobody does. It's a crapshoot. You're gambling if you're going to try and make nothing but directional bets. Now, there's places you can make some educated directional bets. I do long calls and things like that now, but I didn't like the idea of just buying stock and trying to trade stocks or anything like that until I figured out how options work. Once I understood how time decay works and I can make that work in my favor and dramatically kick my odds up of having a profitable trade, I knew that was for me. So I won't mention any names, but I got hooked up with an online trading education group when they were in their infancy, and I learned how to start trading iron condors and strangles. And I did probably the first 3 years. I did nothing but way out of the money 45-day out strangles in ES, the S&P 500 futures contract. Use a span margin, which is very favorable. Doesn't tie up as much capital as it would to control that amount of money, but it's a big product. You're controlling a lot of money. And typically got in and out at 20% of max profit in about 8 days was my average. And it was good income and worked well. But then I was riding in the car one day and I heard Preston's ad for the money press. And I thought, this sounds interesting. So I watched the video, thought it sounded pretty good, signed up for one of the seminars and did the wow thing. And as soon as I understood how that worked, I was so intrigued by Alex at the last event when he says money press is a game changer, because that's exactly what I said when I saw how it worked. When I realized I could build defined risk trades, and your whole analogy about the Baskin Robbins ice cream, buying it in bulk and selling it by the scoop, that made so much. Oh man, it made so much sense to me. And then I started. I read a book a while back. I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, and I've always tried to do the so-called responsible thing. Got myself debt-free, paid off my house, paid off my cars. I've got no debt at all. And I read this book about 3 years ago called The Debt Millionaire. Highly recommend it. And he was talking about how that's not how the super rich live. The super rich don't take any taxable income for income. They buy assets. They borrow against those assets and buy more assets and just keep expanding that and leveraging it. And in a lot of cases, they live on borrowed money that their heirs pay back after they die when they get the step up in value of whatever their assets are, real estate or whatever. They step up in value. The kids sell off enough to pay whatever the debts are, and the next generation does it again. And big, super wealthy families, this is how they live. And I thought, golly, this is so different from everything I've been taught. Dave Ramsey would scream if he heard this. But then when I saw MIT, I said, this principle in trading. It allows me to take $100,000 and control $1 million worth of stock. And yeah, I pay some interest, but I'm doing it at IBKR is where I use for my MIT account. Not the friendliest platform, but definitely the friendliest interest rate. And I've been doing that now for 3 years. I think I've attended MIT at least twice, maybe 3 times. And every time I pick up something a little new, I've got some stock positions I've held and grown now for 3 years when I've been doing that, and that has literally become my primary source of income. And it's allowed me with the
Very
IT
cool.
customers I still have. I had a few that didn't want to move to a virtual environment, so I just said, "Bye, see ya." Go find somebody else. I've got another income stream already, so I enjoy the IT and I still do some of it. And as long as it produces some income and isn't too much trouble, I'll keep doing it. But I can't count the number of times I've gone to someone's office to fix a jammed printer and missed out on a $10,000 trade to make $75 an hour while I fix a printer. I'm like, this is stupid.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that income is super powerful. And I know not only is it sounds like it's really changed your cash flow situation, your income situation, the flex. I think that's any business owner's dream world when they can fire clients. Right? They can say, hey, no, I know, thanks. I don't need you anymore. We can part ways as friends. But then also, I know you've shared with us before. So just for the audience here, it's you said you love spending time in North Carolina, but it's opened up the window to spend more time in Mexico, in the not too distant future, Portugal. So maybe you could just share what some of that income has done on that front for you.
Yeah, an attorney friend of mine, an estate planning attorney that I've been friends with for years, introduced me to this group called Real Estate Trend Alert several years back, and enabled me to get in at the ground level of a condo project in Mexico. We bought it during pre-construction, made payments while it was being built, and I made all my payments out of money from my MIT account. I
Awesome.
didn't have to borrow a dime,
Killer.
and so that condo is now paid off. I take delivery of that in June, and another one of these real estate trend alert deals is going live tomorrow. It's kind of a lottery to get in because there's always more people that want in on these deals than they can get in. So you have to call in fast. You have to be ready with your initial deposit and got to have a little bit of luck. And I'm hoping I get lucky on this one. I got lucky on the one in Mexico, and I'm hoping I get lucky on this one as well. If I do, I'll in 3 years be the proud owner of a second investment property out in Portugal, which will be really nice. It's in Lagos, which is, if you know anything about Portugal, it's on the Algarve coast down in the south, overlooking the Mediterranean. It's just absolutely stunning what the place looks like.
I bet the
So,
sardines are on the flow there.
absolutely,
Yeah,
sardines,
that's an
anchovies, all.
inside joke. We also really love. Kent sent us a Christmas present, and it's the kind of present where outside you hear a beep, 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 because it's a truck backing up, and they needed the lift gate to take it down. And anyway, do you want to tell them what that was, Kent?
Yes, I sent these guys a Rectech stainless steel pellet smoker. It's probably the best smoker on the market.
All
I
I
was
know is it's got bull horns for the handles, and I
It
just can't
does.
get past that.
It's made in Texas, and it looks like it.
There
So
you go.
Wow.
I've cooked a couple of Preston's recipes that he's shared with us over the years, and I know he's a foodie like I am, and also know he really appreciates good barbecue. So uh, I figured I'd send you guys the proper tools of the trade, and maybe in March or April, I'm going to try and get out there, and we're going to do a Texas style brisket done up right. Like I said, I was born in Texas. My dad grew up in Texas. He could have been a championship barbecue chef had he been interested in doing that. And he passed all the secrets on to me. So I do barbecue beef brisket for people, and they're like, man, I've never had it like this before.
Wow.
So
You're
well,
speaking our language. Usually Preston
I'll show
pulls
you how
out.
to do it right.
There you go.
I'll
Preston
show you
will
how to
pull
do
out the little charcoal grill that we have, and usually it's like a Friday. He'll fire up the grill and make something for the land office here. And so yeah,
right.
we were all pretty excited when we saw that. I have one of the Traeger smokers that I got a few years ago, so I'm at like the fresh halfway through freshman year level of smoking meats. So I'm
Right.
excited to learn what you got.
Okay. Cool. Well, we'll have a good time.
For sure. And Ken, what would you say to someone who is just maybe brushing by and going, MIT, a master income trader? I mean, what's this? And they might hear a detail about portfolio margin. And um, I guess just you had a paradigm shift. I think you were ready for it because you had seen what options could do in the real world. It didn't go the right way. The one you got paid in stock, and then the option part didn't work. So that was working in your mind. I think everyone's going to come at this at a different place on their timeline, but it sounds like this has really changed your life.
It really has, and what MIT did, and I guess if I was going to say someone that was considering it, I would say don't let the minimum account size for portfolio margin hold you back. That's certainly nice. The ability to blow that leverage out is great, but you can learn the skills way before that. And I thought when I saw the MIT method, to me it was kind of like the money press on steroids because you've got the protection, but you get to own blue chip stocks, you get to collect dividends, and you get to sell. call options on it every week. So it's win-win-win. And even before you get portfolio margin and can do those that big leverage, you can still do all those other things. You can have stock protected by puts. I show people that all the time. They're like, you got all this stock. You got $1 million worth of stock and $100,000 account. How do you sleep at night? I said, well, let me show you how I sleep at night. This is as bad as I can get hurt on any one of these positions.
I love it.
It's awesome. It's really killer.
Well, cool. Anything else, Preston, you can think of? We want to bounce off of Kent?
Well, just how much we appreciate you being there, and supporting us when we go out on the road. It seems like you're there at every one. We love your input. We love your energy, Kent. We're just glad we crossed paths, and that I look forward to learning from. We call this a network for a reason. I mean, all of your life experience, and I want to learn more than just the barbecue. I'm sure I can learn from you on some of the things that you're doing. The world's changing fast, and I love having our network and bouncing stuff off each other. So I look forward to doing that in the future as well.
Well, I would say that's the thing I like most about Trader's Edge, and I'm still plugged into several other trading education groups, but most of them are strictly online, usually with message boards, nothing even face to face. The fact that we have a weekly webinar that we all get to get on and chat with, and the live events to me are just killer. I tell people all the time, they say, "Well, what are you going to do at the live event? You've been to 3 of those before. What are you going to learn new that you haven't learned?" I said, "Dude, it's not even the presenters anymore. I've learned. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but I've learned most of what you guys teach. I'm sure you guys got tricks you haven't shared yet, but I've heard most of the spiels that you guys do at the live events. But where else are you going to meet an Alex or the half a dozen other people that I now communicate with on a regular basis? I've made half a dozen friends that I share trade ideas and they share trade ideas with me. I couldn't do that anywhere else. And to me, the networking to me is the best part of the whole organization.
I love it. And we've come across so many people that have taken kind of our core concept or strategy, put a few little tweaks on it. Have you done anything like that with MIT? Because we sometimes we get stuck. We're not stuck, but teaching it and explaining it, that sometimes our brains aren't quite as freed up as others.
We got to back up to like the first base, to get everyone aligned. But then I'm kind of jealous of you guys because you're around in second, you're around in third. The running coach is sitting there. I mean, you're at a little higher level, perhaps, because I also believe in just keep hitting the singles and keeping it simple.
Oh, I do too.
I like Mike's question a lot.
Yeah, I would say I'm doing mostly things that I Money Press and MIT are my 2 core strategies. I do still sell the ES strangles. I do those all the time. It's just constant cash flow. I mean, they've got like a 99% success rate.
Yeah, your bread and butter that you've been doing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, how often? I'm talking like 3 delta. I sell a 3 delta call and a 3 delta put 45 days out, and just watch time decay make me money. And it'll. I've had a couple of them have gotten stressed a few times, seen a little bit of drawdown. You saw some drawdown, and you guys were talking about in your preliminary testing of the diamonds approach that you guys saw some drawdowns last year. So any strategy is going to have some of that, but the stuff you guys are doing is pretty rock solid. I do want to brag on one more thing though, that you guys helped me. You helped me reach one of my my probably the biggest bucket list item I've ever had. My first job out of college, I went to Georgia Tech, and my first job out of college was working for an aircraft simulator company. And I've loved aviation my whole life. So 2 years ago, with trading money, I went and started taking flying lessons, got my pilot license, and I'm getting ready to buy a Diamond DA-42 twin engine airplane. And I'm not going to be able to pay cash for that, but I'm going to do it in a very creative way. The flight school that I'm taking my flying lessons at has a lease back program where I'm going to be able to buy the plane, lease it back to them. They do all the maintenance, pay for all the insurance, and I'll make about $1,000 a month on the airplane. And I can it's my plane. I can use it whenever I want, but it won't cost me a dime.
That's awesome.
Cash flow thoughts.
Absolutely.
In all areas.
Absolutely. In fact, I found out that one of the guys there that's at the school, they've got a fleet of 22 single engine planes that I've been learning in. One guy owns 7 of those airplanes. He bought one and he was making $500 a month on it. And he said, I'm going to buy another one and then another one and another one. So now he's got 7 planes there that he's just leasing back to the flight school and getting cash flow on them. It's pretty slick. If you got enough income, with this new bill that they just passed, the big so-called big beautiful bill, he gets to write those airplanes off in full the day he buys them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't suck. So Kent, one last question that came to mind. So I know, we like to build the MIT on blue chips, stocks that pay dividends. And if I remember, weren't you exploring those ETF, like those income ETFs that are paying weekly or monthly dividends as well? So the premise of those is they're selling option premium for income. They're passing that dividend down to those that own the shares of the ETF. So you're taking, if I remember right, you're taking those ETFs, they're selling premium, and now you're taking the ETF and you're selling premium.
I've done that and been pretty successful. I've done that very successful with BITO. And I tried to do it with MSTY, which is Yield Max's
for
covered call strategy on MSTR, on MicroStrategy.
Yep.
That, unfortunately, I've learned a little bit about dividend stocks over the last few months. For one, a lot of times what they're calling dividends is really return of principal. And MSTY, if you've watched it, I mean, it just completely tanked. When it started going down, I got out of that. But I'm still in BITO. And I know, Preston, when we did the coffee up in Asheville a few years back, we were talking about AGNC. I'm still in that one. I got 10,000 shares of AGNC, and it pays 12 cents a share every month.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's just a nice little shot in the arm.
I still got it too. And part of those ETFs, I don't think they're buying the put protection like we do in the MIT. So
correct.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think we got a really good thing.
Absolutely. Every time I show this stuff to people, I show them a little bit about what I'm doing. There's a lot of friends I hang out with now that trade. And in fact, I'll tell you one other funny story. I spend most of my afternoons in a little local sports bar called Twin Peaks, and you can imagine what that's referring to. It's like, Hooters or anything else like that. So it's a place they've got great food, got big TVs. I can go there and watch football. And I've just started going there. I go down and do my IT service work in the morning, and I show up there at lunchtime or a little after and do my trading, watch videos, catch up in trading education, do stuff like that. And everyone that's a regular there has kind of come to know that that's what I do. And I've made several friends there that also trade. And when I show them the stuff I'm doing, they're like, where the hell did you learn this? So I always give them your names. I don't know how many of them have actually signed up, but I say, you need to check out Trader's Edge Network. In fact, one thing I do frequently is I point them to the Money Press book, the ebook. And I said, read this, because when you understand that you can make money and not have a lot of money at risk, especially if you're beginning, that's the scariest thing. If they've worked their whole life and they've saved up $20,000 and they're looking at retirement, they know Social Security is not going to be enough. Having a way to invest and grow that money rapidly and not take on undue risk, that's a gold mine. And y'all are doing the Lord's work teaching people how to do this. I just wish more people would pay the dues that it takes to do it. And I'm glad you guys have always emphasized that in your training and your live events, that this is not a get rich quick scheme, because I'd say probably for every 10 people that I explain this stuff to, 9 out of 10 of them are never going to do anything with it, because they want to be able to press a couple of buttons and get rich. And I said, guys, I paper traded for a full year before I invested a single dollar. And I still, when I'm going to test out a new strategy that I've never done before, I paper trade it. When I joined Diamonds, I paper traded for the first month, and I just wanted to see what it's doing. I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of a new strategy before I start putting real money into it. And
really smart.
The safety net you guys have built in your methods and your strategies is second to none. I've never seen anything anywhere close.
Love it.
Really appreciate that. Well, and we love doing the, solid 8 weeks. We get together once a week. We open a real account and we really trade it together. And it's that time of year again. And we really appreciate you joining us and just coloring it up, Kent, from your world, shining the light on what you've done. I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, definitely. Great to connect. Thanks for Thanks for taking the time, Kent. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, man.
Bye, guys.